Bismillah. Hope and Love Over Fear and Hate, Part 4 of 5. Dying from terrorism versus dying from murder, gun violence, and other causes. What is a bigger threat to Americans? Terrorism, murder, gun violence, or other causes? In 2013, 3 Americans were killed in the Boston Marathon bombing. In that same year, 5 were killed by guns. But who shot them? Toddlers. Yes, all by toddlers accidentally shooting a gun, meaning it was more likely Americans would be killed by a toddler than a terrorist in that year. And as a 2014 study by University of North Carolina found, since the 9/11 attacks, Muslim-linked terrorism has claimed the lives of 37 Americans. In that same time period, more than 190,000 Americans were murdered, meaning you are 5,135 times more likely to be murdered than die from a Muslim-linked terrorist attack. As of 2015, terrorism by Muslim Americans killed 50 since 9/11. Contrast that with the 136 deaths only in 2014 from other mass shootings. So almost 3 times as many as all the deaths from 13 years of Muslim American terrorism. What about murders in 2014? This number is 14,000. This is 280 times as many as all the deaths from the 13 years of Muslim American terrorism. What about murders in that same 13-year time period? This number is over 200,000. This is 4,000 times as many as all the deaths from the 13 years of Muslim American terrorism. On average, 30 Americans are killed each day by gun violence, that is 10,950 people per year. And 3 women per day are killed by domestic violence, that is 1,095 women per year. But the media will have expert after expert discussing how can we stop these scary brown Muslims from killing any more Americans, despite the fact you actually have a higher chance of being killed by a gun or domestic violence, or better yet, by your own furniture crushing you. Why are we not seeing weeks after weeks of headline news pointing out these tragedies? Because $119 million are not being pumped to fuel fear and hate against gun violence or murder. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, it was found that from 2001 to 2013, 406,496 people died by firearms on U.S. soil. This data covered all manners of death, including homicide, accident, and suicide. According to the U.S. State Department, the number of U.S. citizens killed overseas as a result of incidents of terrorism from 2001 to 2013 was 350. In addition, a compilation of all terrorism incidents inside the U.S. showed that between 2001 and 2013, there were 3,030 people killed in domestic acts of terrorism. Note, the overwhelming majority of these acts were by non-Muslim perpetrators. This brings the total to 3,380. So, the chance of you being killed by a terrorist in the U.S. during this 11-year period is 0.83%, meaning you are more than 120 times likely to be killed by gun violence. What about other causes? Comparing the CDC numbers to terrorism deaths for 2011, it was found that you are 26 times more likely to die falling out of your bed than be killed by terrorists. You are 187 times more likely to starve to death in America than be killed by terrorism. You are 271 times more likely to die from a workplace accident than terrorism. You are 353 times more likely to meet your maker while texting and driving than by terrorism. You are 1,904 times more likely to die from a car accident than from a terrorist attack. You are 4,706 times more likely to drink yourself to death than die from terrorism. You are 5,882 times more likely to die from medical error than terrorism. You are 5,882 to 23,528 times more likely to die from obesity than from a terrorist attack. You are 33,842 times more likely to die from cancer than from a terrorist attack. You are 35,079 times more likely to die from heart disease than from a terrorist attack. There is much noise floating around on how to deal with this Muslim threat. We hope that the numbers shown illustrate that our situation is not as dire as we are made to believe. Although there is a problem, but what is the solution? Firstly, we need to stop allowing the brain trashing mass media to continue to fool and control us. We need to understand what our real American problems and threats are. And finally, we need to treat all lives equally regardless of race or creed, which is something as Americans we are severely lacking. More on this next time. If you have any questions, then please ask a Muslim. Thank you.